In today's video, we're going to go over two separate radioactive half-life graphing problems. We are going to graph some radioactive data, and then we're going to use those graphs to answer a couple of questions. Now, before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Step by Step Science. Please subscribe, click the notifications bell so you don't miss anything. Leave us a nice positive comment and give us a thumbs up for this video. And if you're looking for some additional practice or some additional example problems for radioactive decay graphs, you can find all of that at our TPT store. The link is in the description below. And let's get started with a brief introduction to, or a little overview of what half-life is. Half-life is simply the time it takes for 1/2 of the atoms in a radioactive sample to decay. All right, that's what I call the half-life, because it's the time it takes for half of the sample to decay. Now here is our nucleus, our radioactive unstable nucleus, and there may be 4 or 5 different kinds of radioactive decay that you should be aware of. I'm going to talk a little bit about alpha, beta minus, beta plus, and gamma decay. All right, alpha. Uranium-235, for example, undergoes alpha decay. It has a half-life of 704 million years. Carbon-14 undergoes beta minus decay with a half-life of about 5,730 years. And then sodium-24 undergoes gamma decay with a half-life of about 15 hours. You can see there's a very large range of half-lives from hundreds of millions of years all the way down past hours into fractions of a second. Okay, so here's our first problem we're going to work on. Here's our graph. And we are going to say we have a sample of actinium-25, which we know undergoes alpha decay. And we are given some data for the activity of that sample. So we have the days over here. This is the time measured in days. This is the activity measured in becquerels. And a becquerel is the number of decays that occur per second. So when we start measuring at time 0, we have a sample, and that sample has 1120 becquerels, or the activity is 1120. And we want to be able to use this data to figure out what is the half-life. Because you can see that this is 1120, half of that would be 560, and that would fall right in here, so we're pretty sure our half-life is going to be somewhere between 5 and 16. But we don't have 560 on here, so then we're going to graph our data by putting the time on the x-axis and putting the activity on the y-axis and plotting all 6 of those data points. So we start off time 0, we're going to say 1120 is the activity. Here's 8, 9, 10, 11, and that's about 1120. This is just approximate because we're graphing by hand here and we can't do that exactly, but you can see when we plot all those data points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we get that characteristic exponential decay curve. We draw a nice smooth curve, and now we can use that to figure out the half-life. As I said before, at time 0, the activity was 1120. Well, after one half-life, the number of nuclei is going to be, the radioactive nuclei is going to be reduced by half, and therefore the activity is going to be half. So half of 1120 is 560. That's going to be the activity after one half-life. We can find that on our graph, 4, 5, 6. So 560 is right here, and we want to know what time corresponds to that activity. So we just go over to our graph and down to our time, and you can see that it's just about 10, little less, so I said 9.9 days. That is the half-life of actinium-225. At least according to our graph. Now, I think I looked it up obviously also, and I can't remember if it was 9.8 or 9.9, but that's basically what it is right there. That's the half-life for actinium-225. We got that by reading the data off of our graph. Okay, now let's just go through and write the decay curve for actinium-225. Won't that be fun? Actinium-225, this is the mass number, the number of protons and neutrons together in the nucleus. And we look it up on the periodic table. Actinium has an atomic number of 89, which means it has 89 protons in its nucleus. We know it's going to undergo alpha decay. An alpha particle is simply a helium nucleus, helium-4 nucleus. And that's going to come out. Okay, it's going to emit that. And that means that the mass number is going to go down by 4. The atomic number is going to go down by 2. So we have the atomic number of 87, and the element number 87 is francium. And that means that actinium-225 undergoes alpha decay to become francium-221. Okay? That's the first problem. Oh yeah, it has a half-life, as we said, about 9.9 days. Now, the next problem is for graphing again. We're going to say we have a sample of sodium-35, which we know undergoes beta-minus decay. And this time we're going to be given the half-life, which is approximately 88 days. And we're going to take some samples and measure the activity after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half-lives. At time 0, again, the activity is 12 becquerels, 12 decays per second. We know after 88 days, which is 1 half-life, that that's going to be reduced by, that's right, half. Another half-life, 88 plus 88 is 176, down to 3, half again. Then we can fill that in for those 6 half-lives. After 6 half-lives, we start here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess that's 5 half-lives, excuse me. The activity has been reduced to 0.38 becquerels. Again, we're going to graph that data, time on the x, activity on the y, plot those data points just like that. And again, you get that nice exponential decay curve, and you draw that nice exponential decay curve. And now we can ask ourselves, for example, what would be the activity after 225 days? Well, we have our decay curve, which we graphed. So we know that each time has a corresponding activity. So we're going to go from here's 2, here's 300, 250, then 225 is going to be right there in the middle. We're going to go up to the decay curve, over, and we can see that after 225 days, the activity is going to be 2 becquerels. Now we could go over and do the same thing, or let's say the opposite thing. Let's say we want to know when would the activity be reduced to, from 12 to 5 becquerels. We go from here, go over, go down, and we can see that's just about 100 days. Okay? So those are the 2 most common problems I think you'll get for graphing and radioactive decay. Now, we did the other decay equation for actinium. Let's do it now for sulfur. Sulfur is element number 16. We're told it's sulfur 35. That's the mass number. We know it's going to undergo beta-minus decay. When we have beta-minus decay, a neutron turns into a proton. So the atomic number, we gain a proton, we lose a neutron, and that means that atomic number goes up by 1 to 17. Now, protons and neutrons are both in the mass number, so that number does not change. And element number 17 is chlorine, and then that is the symbol that I'm going to use for the beta-minus particle. Sometimes you see it written like this. I like mass 0, charge -1. Sometimes you just see E minus for an electron, because that's really what it is an electron. And sometimes you'll see people write beta, the beta symbol, the Greek letter beta, and then a minus sign. Okay, so that tells us that sulfur 35 undergoes beta-minus decay to become chlorine 35. Okay, so there you go. That's the 2 types of problems that we went over. I hope you found that video helpful. Please, if you did, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Click the notifications bell. Leave us a nice positive comment and give us a thumbs up for this video. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next video.